So there is continued contact with both the United Kingdom and Spain on these issues, and I think what you'll find is that even at the frontier here, on sort of the coalface, so to speak, the place of interaction of all third country nationals who are not red ID card holders arriving at the frontier, there is a different treatment being provided even now when we're looking at things through the microscope of some who are manifesting at the frontier and others. So there isn't a joined up position that is obvious, but we continue the communication with our colleagues in Spain and the United Kingdom. This is an important issue that I know is affecting many residents of Gibraltar, not just those who hold blue identity cards, but other residents of Gibraltar who hold different status. They're not British citizens who are not Gibraltarians resident in Gibraltar. They are from other non-European countries and they are resident in Gibraltar, and they're being affected too, and we're very conscious of that, and we understand the importance of resolving this issue quickly. The government deeply empathizes with them, but of course it's something which is outside our control and is a consequence of our departure from the European Union.
There have been reports of people without red ID cards being asked for evidence of hotel accommodation, means of subsistence, as per the Schengen Border Code. What sorts of documentations could people be asked for when they're crossing the frontier? What clarity can the government provide?
The government has received detailed reports from many individuals who have been asked for many different types of documentation. And the Schengen Border Code is very clear. You have to be able to satisfy at the entry point into Schengen the border guard that is going to give you or deny you access, that you have a legitimate purpose for entering Schengen, that you're not a challenge to the public health or public security of the Schengen zone, that you have accommodation which is suitable for your needs whilst you're in the Schengen zone, and that you have the right to exit the Schengen zone back to where you came from in a way that you are also able to finance and that you're going to be able to sustain yourself whilst you're there. That could be done by ways of many different pieces of documentation. So if you look at the code, it doesn't actually provide for that. There are guidance notes of what the person who is administering the code should be asking for. So for example, if somebody is a student coming to study in a Schengen area, evidence of matriculation, of an offer from a university, of accommodation in student digs, etc. Now, I think that it is absolute nonsense for a Schengen border guard at the crossing point between Gibraltar and Spain to deny access to somebody who is going to spend time in La Linea, spending money, whether it's on breakfast, lunch or dinner or shopping, simply because that person hasn't got a hotel booking and is not going to spend the night. It is the Spanish who may be doing this, not under the authority of the Ministry of the Interior or the Exterior Ministry, but who may have taken it upon themselves for whatever reason they think it is appropriate to do so, to police the code in this way, to account to businesses in the region why it is that they're denying them the economic benefit of residents of Gibraltar accessing the region to spend money. Cutting your nose to spite your face is not a good way to advance the cause of Spain in the context of the negotiation that we're having. All it's going to do is rile the people of Gibraltar, get our backs up, and remind us of the Spain that we'd like to think one day will be in the past.
You've said that this is the outcome of Brexit and that red ID card holders have themselves only been exempted due to treaty negotiations. Is this the reality from now on for blue ID card holders, or will they be included in treaty negotiations as well?
No, treaty negotiations would definitely include them. Treaty negotiations are being carried out by the government of Gibraltar in respect of the people of Gibraltar to whom we are accountable, and that includes all residents of Gibraltar. So we are fighting for blue ID card holders, cyan ID card holders, all residents of Gibraltar to be able to have that fluidity that we used to enjoy before, and indeed to increase that fluidity under the terms of these arrangements. We are really fighting very hard to ensure that they will have the same rights that we had before we left the European Union. And look, we are all in the same boat. Blue ID card holders and red ID card holders and cyan ID card holders are all in the same boat. We have no longer got the right to access other member states of the European Union. There is an administrative concession that Spain is extending to red ID card holders, that is to say Gibraltarians resident in Gibraltar, which she is doing on the basis of her own discretion to do so, which we have absolutely no legal right to enforce. We've got to understand that. We can't pretend that it is anything other than Spain, not Gibraltar, doing anything here, deciding of her own motion as a gesture of goodwill to continue to give us the ability to access Schengen with a lighter requirement than is the case in relation to blue ID card holders, cyan ID card holders, and other non-EU Gibraltar residents. But that is not something that's under our control, and we're going to fight as hard for blue ID card holders, cyan ID card holders, and all ID card holders as we will for red ID card holders.